Question 19. In a right triangle, one angle measures x, where sine of x equals 4 over 5. What is the cosine of 90 minus x? So this is a question that's testing you on trigonometry. So the first thing that we need to do is draw this right triangle. And by right triangle, it means that we know that at least one angle equals 90 degrees. And it's saying that the other angle is equal to x. Now, again, we know from geometry that all the angles of a triangle need to add up to 180. So here, let's call this A. We have 90 plus x plus A equals 180. Subtract 90 from both sides, and we have x plus A equals 90. Or, let's rewrite it this way. Subtract x from both sides. So A equals 90 minus x, which happens to be the angle that we're looking for the cosine for. And let's remember the basics of what sine and cosine mean. Here's a quick little trick. Well, let's start with what they mean. So the sine of x is the ratio of the opposite side from this angle to the hypotenuse. And if you remember from geometry that in a triangle the hypotenuse is basically the longest side of the triangle. So in terms of remembering ratios, here's a quick little trick. SOHCAHTOA. And what this says, or what this is used for, is remembering that the sine is equal to the ratio of opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. And even though they don't ask in this question, tangent is opposite over adjacent. So what do I mean by that? When I take the angle x, this side is the opposite side, and the one that touches the angle, aside from the long side, which is the hypotenuse, is the adjacent. So let's try to set this up one more time. And what they are telling you, well, with this information, let's go ahead and fill in what we know. So if the sine is 4 over 5, opposite over hypotenuse, so opposite, in this particular case, 4 over 5. So the opposite, I'm going to write that in, is 4, and the hypotenuse equals 5. So cosine of 90 minus x, we see here that this equals A. So really, they're asking for the cosine of this angle, A. So let's redraw this triangle. And with respect to angle A, the long side is still the hypotenuse, but this becomes the this becomes the opposite, and this becomes the adjacent. And we still know these two numbers, adjacent. Yes, this side is 4 and this side is 5. So the cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Here, conveniently, 4 is the adjacent hypotenuse, or 5 is the hypotenuse. So the cosine of A equals 4 over 5. In other words, the cosine of 90 minus x equals 4 over 5. And in the SATs, you can express your answer as a fraction, 4 over 5, or as a decimal, which equals 0.8. Both of these answers are acceptable.